Caner Universe, it's Caner Tip Tuesday. Listen, before we get started today, I've been given the heads up that we hit the 10,000 subscriber mark, and so a heartfelt thank you on behalf of myself, the staff, coaches, your entire ACSD family. I can think of 30 years ago when we first started with this. What a crazy idea. You're doing what with canes? And so you fast forward today, still a little crazy, but it's tough to argue with the transformational stories. And so thank you, because if you don't hit that subscribe button and share and let others know, then this message doesn't move along. We still have a long way to go, but we have faith that with the Lord guiding the ship, you can't go wrong that way. So thank you so much for that. Speaking of, if you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the little bell icon so you don't miss any future content. You have 2 free resources I tell you every single week. Have you done the no-cost cane clarity call yet? Text the letter CCC to 305-745-7839. The purpose of it is to, where is it regarding the cane and cane training that you need clarity on? That's your opportunity to do that. We'll give you an action plan. So when you walk out of that call, everybody congruently says the same thing regardless. Oh, wow, thank you for taking the time. You walk out of there a much more educated caner. So go ahead and do that. And then the second thing you want to do is you have a free, it's open to the public, Facebook group. It's called Cane Flow. Look at the description below and hit that link. Just go to the Cane Flow group, request entry. They will let you right in. By the way, I'm still using this cane throughout the Sobrevivencia series and not using something like this, like a Raven, because boy, this would be cheating, right? Maestro Ruiz didn't have access to something like that. So I am dedicated and committed to using this throughout. Today, an important topic, and that is, listen, everybody who gets into the cane, particularly for self-protection, has a concern with what happens if somebody tries to take that cane away from you, and especially if they're bigger, stronger, faster. So this is the Sobrevivencia way to retain your cane, and it has some unique components to it. The first one is the advantage that it gives you is that it's a two-handed system, essentially, two-handed method. It's not out here, remember, it's not a shaft striking system. So this, you don't have it out. It's pretty much held to the body. Two things, 2 hands on the cane and held close to the body, almost inviting that initial strike to commit, right, to counter that. And there is a difference to that, and I'll show you. As Maestro Ruiz often points out, when you have 2 hands on the cane, not just because you're going to do this, there are times that he says when this individual's bigger, stronger, faster, and he's pulling on that cane, he lets him have that cane so that then he can come in here, right, and move in and do something. But that's not the point here. The 2 hands, one is a controlling, a mother hand, the other one is that pivot hand. And it's a very deceptive system in the sense that he gets to move you where he wants you to move. So most individuals, if they see this coming, they can see this coming from the periphery. The initial, see how the hands come up automatically? Now that's not necessarily the intention of doing that, going right to that hip pointer, which has that coming back up and striking and then coming in, for instance. So the fact that it's held close to the body at all times also allows for any grabbing that takes place on the cane. If I do something out here and I come in, and because it's held close to the body, I can always lock, see, and there it is, and that's how I start breaking through. Closer to the body usually means closer to your center. You're not holding it out here. So it has that built-in mechanism. The second one has to do with the strikes themselves. Now, it is essentially a tip, a cane tip. It's striking with both hands. It'll use this to strike as well, right? You see it here, and there's striking here. It is not a shaft striking system for obvious reasons. You don't have the material to hold up. I've pointed it out throughout the entire series, but take a look at this, because these are the 2 main strikes. There's one that comes in straight, like you just saw me do this, come up and strike. But there is a strike that is rotational. There's a rotation of the cane. usually coming in here, and it's very smooth. You don't lock yourself up. There's nothing that works this way which makes it tight. The elbows are in tight in the guard zone, and there's a flow in essence, but don't miss it. There it is. There's a rotation that you don't really see. Now, what does that do? First of all, these strikes, you can see them coming a lot more so than when you have to go to the middle, you have to adjust to it, possibly moving back and going in. If on top of that, you're going to put a rotational spin on that cane, it makes it so much more difficult. Right now, when I'm coming to the outside, and now for her to hang on, it puts a spin, potentially even locking that hand, right? So you have that other foot forward in here, and here comes that strike. Right, it has that rotation. See it there where you're coming from up, down, there's the movement. And so it has that built-in mechanism. Now don't miss this, because from a physical perspective, those of you that have an interest in Sobrevivencia, it is essentially an exercise system. That's the secret behind it. In other words, if they see you practicing this in the park or you're teaching it, think about this, instructors and coaches, think about this. If you're showing this to someone out in the public where somebody can come by, they're never gonna think you're teaching them self-protection with a cane. Why? Because it's an exercise system. You're teaching people how to move better with a cane, how to ambulate better, how to take steps forward, back, and then the movements are flowing. And one of the fundamental movements in Sobrevivencia, and it parallels ACSD, I talk about it all the time, is caners should have the ability to squat down. And in our ACSD trainings, we take the time to show what that should be like. Well, guess what? When you look at Maestro Ruiz, he has the capability, if you can just tilt just slightly, he always shows how the cane allows him to come all the way down and come up. You know, he's 68 years old, he still has that mobility, but if you have that capacity, listen, if you're not there and you're looking at this and you say, I can't do that. Well, you know, that's a four-letter word we don't like to use. We like to emphasize what you can do, but there's a progression. Where you are today is not where you're going to be tomorrow if you're training properly. Now, what does the capacity to squat down have to do and be able to do these movements here have to do with cane retention? Let me show you. So, in the event that that cane does get grabbed, when he does the motion, you're putting weight in the same way that he loads that cane, he's gonna load it here. Rather than fighting here, which is what everybody does, with a rotational move and squatting down, it's easier to retain, because I don't care how big and strong you are or how light she might be. If you put that at the end, let's assume she weighs 90 pounds, right? And she has that cane, but she does that rotational spin and then squats down and move. Now it's 90 pounds at the end of that fishing rod that I have to do. See, it starts moving away from my body. She does a movement and sweeps it right off. And so that gives you an advantage, because all the weight is to the outside and it's working as a unit. You grab here, it comes out, and now you rotate here and you can go ahead and strike. So these are the ways he's taken this. It was taken into consideration because obviously tool retention plays an important role. But when he put the system together, it's done in such a way where it's built into the exercises. And remember what I tell you, there's only 8 basic exercises and movements, and from there you get hundreds of variations. So feel free to comment and ask any questions. Pretty soon I'll be scheduling something with Maestro Ruiz himself. Probably we'll do a Zoom session there that you can go ahead and ask questions, and it'll bring further clarity to this unique Cuban cane art. Now, where do you start off? Do that cane clarity call. It doesn't matter where your level of interest is, where you are. You know, the injuries, we're all about turning those injuries into victories and so on and so forth. The first thing is all by texting those letters CCC to 305-745-7839. The reason we want to schedule it, yeah, you can call the 800 number, 800-289-8188, but it reduces the probability. If you schedule it, we're going to say, hey, we're on a call, or we have a scheduled call coming up right now. We want to take the time, dedicate the time to listen to you, listen to what's important to you, so that then we can guide you best with this. And believe me, you can make it happen wherever you are, right here, right now in 2023. Also, those of you that have an interest in coming down to Miami, learning directly the Sobrevivencia system, September 19th through the 22nd with Maestro Ruiz. There's still a few spots available. Just go ahead and text Fall 2023 to 305-745-7839. We just want to make sure, we want to answer all your questions, but make sure that it's a good fit for you before you do anything else. I'm Joe Robaina from American Cane Self-Defense and Sobrevivencia. Thanks for continuing to watch. Keep caning and stay safe.